All right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, thank you for joining us again today. We're looking at the economy. Of course, we're zeroing in on the ministerial list. The screening will start this week. Joining me right now is my guest, Tokunbo, Kayode, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, former Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Minister of Culture and Tourism, Minister of Defense, Minister of Labor and Productivity. Welcome to the show. First time on the program anyway. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. I've always wanted to be on your show, you know.
Really?
Yes.
So you're on the show today. Welcome, and it's good to have you.
I'm very happy to be here.
And what a day to have you, isn't it? So I think it really coincides well because the topic everywhere on the lips of Nigerians now is that of the ministers. You know, tell me what your thoughts are. When the president transmitted the list to the Senate, and the Senate President Bukola Saraki read the list, read the names out, what actually came to your mind when you were hearing those names? What came to your mind?
Well, you know, there has been a lot of anticipation from Nigerians. And because of the time lapse, the anticipation had taken a life of its own. And then people were expecting magic. They were expecting that some new thing, something new, really, really new was going to happen. But sitting from my own side, I knew that the president is not a magician, and that he can only tap from the pool that we already have. See, it is difficult to honestly take an untested hand and entrust on him huge cabinet responsibilities. You see, one of the challenges we have in the country, and all of us are guilty of this, that we don't piggyback people. We need to take people and put them through a system whereby we know we can harvest talents, we can harvest people who can do big things for this country. We've not been doing that kind of tutelage thing. So what is it going to do? It can only tap from what is available. And if you just guess, for instance, taking Professor Jega to INEC was just a guesswork, more or less, by President Jonathan, and it worked. Work in the sense that he delivered something.
Was it a guesswork, or that Professor Jega was trusted in a way? He had a track record of credibility and all of that. So perhaps President Jonathan went looking for him at that time.
Yeah, the point I mean,
yeah, somehow.
Efficiency, yeah, he had run a university, but he never went beyond that. He's been an academician all his life, efficient one, good pedigree, but he was taken from his comfort zone to a new place, but he performed. So it is possible actually to get people, but we need to begin to promote the process of training, tutelage, and bringing up people, and really head hunting. Not when you need them, but over time, identifying, look, this guy looks good, and you begin to take them up through a system whereby you can harvest them in no short time. We should have people in their late 30s, mid to late 30s, and early 40s as ministers comfortably, but we've not laid the foundation for it.
Okay, you're saying because we've not laid the foundation for it, that is why looking at this list, we're seeing a crop of ministers that are older. Because if I took a look at that list, and I did the median age for that list, the median age, that's the average age, is 53 years. I think there are two ministers, ministerial nominees on that list that are just 48 years old. The oldest is Audu with 68 years old. So are you saying because we've not laid the foundation over the years? Take a look at the past administration. You know, that's Jonathan's administration. The Minister of Trade and Investment, I got talking to him many years ago, some years ago, I think when he was Minister of Finance, and he did say that the president did not know him from anywhere. They had not met, but President Jonathan got him to do the job, finance and trade and investment. That is Olusegun Aganga. Do you understand what I mean? So are you saying it's because that as a people we've not laid the foundation of recognizing or tapping or headhunting for those younger talents or fresh faces, as it were? Does that mean we cannot get new people to do the job, or we always go for the old people?
We can always get new people. But the point I'm making is that if we really want a paradigm shift, we must work hard for it. You talk about the average age of the chaps on the presidential list. Well, I don't know. If I think Audu I think my son was telling me that I thought, from what you told me, I thought this gentleman should be in his 70s. I don't know. But the important thing is that, look at it, the president himself is in his 70s.
He's 72.
Yes. He will be more comfortable with elderly persons. No argument about that.
Why did you say that?
Well, that's just how it works. But with time, you see, he has the flexibility to change, like President Obasanjo did. He brought in people, but by the time he began to tinker with his cabinet, he began to bring in younger elements. That's how people like RFI was able to come in and gradually was doing that. So things will be changed. You see, the important thing really is to plan. Let us just know what the plan is, even for this cabinet. It is very important to plan. And for me, I was very, very anxious about the need to put in place a plan. If there's that plan, they will know whether this crop of people can fit into that plan.
But with what you're saying, do you think that this set of people, that the nominees will be able to fit into that plan?
I don't know the plan. Do you know the plan? Is there a plan right now? It is not late. It is still possible to honestly have a plan. Because this is a new party coming into power, a new president coming into, there's not a president going for second term, then there needs to be some plan. That's, of course, I expect there will be some party manifesto, which is usually populist. But by the time the reality dawns on you, by the time the transition committee have done their initial report, you will begin to see what is on the ground. Is it bad? Or is it worse? Or is it as bad as we thought? Or is it worse than we thought? Then you will now factor that report, you understand, into what is workable. Then you begin to move on. Look, no doubt about it, Nigerians wanted a change, and they got a change. And they must have a change. And it's not really difficult. And the only person that can do it is really the president. Just get your people together. Look, we promise a change, we must deliver a change. Give me your working paper. I give you 2 weeks. Simple.
Okay.
Then you begin now to work with it. Then when you have a semblance of a plan, then you can have a team that can this team key into that. Other than that, we'll begin to do it the same way we did it in the past. And you know how it is. You do the same way, the same things, the same way.
You get the same result.
You get the same result.
Okay. I would like to ask you, because I see that also the discussion around this ministerial list is about the age, is about, give us some kind of youthful inclusion. The women are not represented. If you take a look at the women, about 3, which represent about 14% of the current list. I was listening to Femi Adesina yesterday, the special advisor to the president on media. And he did say, come on, Nigerians, what if the other list is out? That is 15 and they are all women, or they are, so we should be a bit patient. But
the men will go on strike if all the second list is all women,
But the thing is, a lot of people are, worried, disturbed about why giving us the same set of people, why this older generation, bearing in mind that there is the young ones that actually voted you in. If you take a look at the demography of Nigeria, youthful population. How old were you when you became a minister? Do you mind? I've asked you the question.
I was 47.
You were 47?
Yes.
Okay, so I wouldn't say you were largely a youth at that time, because a youth age is
I was young at heart.
18 to 35. Okay, good. Now
I'm still young at heart.
Now that brings me to the question. What you've just said has brought me to the question of why is it that perhaps the recycled people we always see in Nigeria, the older generation, when you say, they are young, they will say, I'm young at heart, just like what you said.
No, I'm not part of recycled.
But you understand what I mean?
Absolutely. Honestly, it's a matter of concern. Look, we're all growing up. We have children that are already well educated. All our lives, that's what we've been doing, and they're in good positions. We need to bring them up. I agree to tell you that maybe the government ought to, and it's not late, take a chance, like Goodluck did, like Baba Obasanjo did. Take a chance on a few young people. Just take a chance. There are quite a few names that have been banded, even some of them not particularly young. Professor, this is my Lagos Business School. like Pat, for instance, people like that. Just take a chance on them. They have something to say, and they do not need to spend the whole 4 years with you. They may get fatigued and just even want out, but they have something to say. Take a chance on some young, brilliant persons in the universities. You know, just headhunt a few people. We could do that.
I know there are a few young people that are even walking around the corridors of power with the president right now, even with the vice president. A few smart young
I have no doubt in my mind that the vice president have trained a lot of crop of young Nigerians over time. He's been a professor. Forget about that. He's not very old. He's been a professor for a long time, and he's taught and trained a lot. Even he trained professors. So they could see people who have. You see, it's just ability to be able to read and understand things and really understand.
But for now, why is it that the age actually matters? I understand that Nigeria's population is a youthful population.
Yeah.
And why I'm asking this question is that you could see that there's a difference between, we have what we call the chronological age, that's the age which you are, you know, and perhaps the mental age, how old you are mentally. So there are two different things. So for an Aldogbe, for example, who is 68, on the list that is chronologically, could have the mind of a 45-year-old man. Do you understand what I mean?
I could be on the other side too.
As you were 47 when you were minister, perhaps I'm not saying, but that needs to go under investigation. Perhaps you had the mental age of a 35-year-old man at that time.
I aged faster than mentally, but I think I get the point you're making. Yeah. And I believe that, first of all, I belong to the school that says old age is not a substitute for knowledge or experience. That is, the fact that somebody is old does not necessarily mean that he's experienced or is brilliant. But in Africa, in Nigeria, we believe that old age is synonymous with wisdom. So we have to now balance both. What we need to do is, at all times, we must take chance on our young people. They've got education, many of them better educated than we are. They are in the digital age. You understand? And we need to do things digitally. We need to be smart. We need to have, right now, a smart Federal Executive Council. Simple. So you need to bring people, as I said, I used the example of El-Rufai, and that's the fact. He came in with a new way of doing things when he came to FCT, when he came to government. And there are many people far younger, he's an old man now, far younger than him, you know, that could do that. You take chance on one or two people, both men and women, especially women, because these days, quite a number of them are really serving what they do.
That's women?
Yes. Okay. So for me, what we just need to do now is factor in the points people are making. We need more youthful people who have technical competencies, have some lived experience, and people you can also put through. Just gradually take them up to work. Maybe one of the things they could do is to bring a lot of people into the villa to work as advisors, you know, as presidential assistants, as young, seriously and technically competent people. They can gradually begin to bring them up. President Obasanjo did something like that. Two, we need to factor in the fact that we need to take a percentage for women. It's an international political matter. So you cannot just overlook it. Women are entitled, in line with Beijing, you know, women are entitled to a percentage. You must factor that in. Then we can avoid controversies. People, all the people will just be there. With time, they will pan out. They will pan out. There's no law that says anybody should spend 4 years in cabinet. But the important is that there must be a plan so that you can keep people into those plans. If, for instance, you send a 68-year-old man to the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, I don't think he'll be able to cope there. You send it to Ministry of Labor, I don't think he'll be able to cope there. I worked there, and I found that the fact that I was slightly young helped me to be able to relate to the radicals and the unionists and the key officials there who are very youthful but very strong, intellectually competent, and they knew what they were talking about. People like Peter, Esele, and all those kind of that pedigree of people. The fact that you are a bit young, you'll be enabled to relate with them, and you achieve things, and that is the whole purpose of governance. The whole purpose, and I'm sure what President Buhari would like to achieve, he wants to achieve. There is no president on this earth, as I've seen, who wants to fail. If they fail, it just happenstance, and it can happen to anybody. So you lay the foundation by planning to succeed.
Okay. For those watching and you want to tell us what you think, go to our social media platforms. Go to Facebook and drop your comments at ABC Money Show Live. Tweet at us, Money Show Live. You can also tweet at me at the handle Nancy Low right about now. Tell us what you think about the ministerial list. Like I said earlier on, you can also find us on YouTube and watch some of the episodes out there. www.youtube.com/The Money Show. Tokunbo, Kayode, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, former Minister of Defense, Culture and Tourism, Labor and Productivity. Justice. Oh, so you had like how many portfolios for?
Yes, I was privileged to serve in those portfolios. Yes.
So it's like you're well-rounded, isn't it, somehow?
Well, my legal training helped me.
So with that training and, of course, going from one ministry to the other, tell me what it actually takes to be a minister.
Well, one thing I know it does not require is for you to be a technocrat.
Sorry?
It does not require you to be somebody who has been taking instructions all his life.
Okay, I don't understand that.
I will explain. I said what I know it does not require.
Okay.
Because people say, oh, we want technocrats.
Yeah.
My experience was that what you need to be able to help the person that put you in that position, the president, to deliver. If, for instance, you are working in the Ministry of Labor, what do they do in that place? How do you add value to it? You must be thinking out of the box at all times. Now, there are two things in the ministries, and that is also a very critical thing. Of course, people like Kayode and a few other persons who have been ministers before, who have been governors, may know. But the people outside that sphere, who are new in the system of government, may not know. There is the office of the minister, which is political, which is looking at things from a global point of view. And there is a civil service that is narrow, enclosed, and protective of his sphere of influence. Those two things are always in serious contention. So the first thing you must be able to see how you can navigate to ensure that whatever mandate your president has given to you, you deliver it. Other than that, but because if you are not able to work with civil service, you are dead on arrival.
So how do you begin to navigate the civil service? Because just like you said, very protective set of people, a lot of bureaucracy goes on there. You come in and say, can we do these things this way? They'll say, Oga or Madam, that's what we don't do them since. That's actually what you're saying, isn't it?
Look, I practiced law for 25 years before I was appointed. I was already an SN for 6 years before I was appointed. And I was used to giving instructions. I need that file, get that brief ready. Okay, I can call my staff at my lawyer at 11 the night, even 1 a.m. I hope that paper is ready. You know, we are going to court in the morning. Be in my house by 7. You can't do that in the ministry. You can't even tell your driver that. Say, sir, we'll resume work at 9. Or you have to go out of it to be very, very nice. Very, very nice. For instance, I can tell you a little story. When I was in culture, Ministry of Culture, and I established very strong relationship with the cultural counselors in the ministries. I mean, in the embassies, because we have this cultural agreement with all the countries. That's the easiest diplomatic contact you have, cultural relationship. So I lined up them to the ambassadors to visit me so we can renew our cultural relationship and our agreements. Many of them were already stale, moribund, or even lapsed, and so on and so forth. And that opened the opportunities for some of my people in the ministries to attend cultural shows, cultural education and stuff. I have access to a lot of things internationally. And if by 6 p.m. I'm still in the office, I call for the director in charge of that department, is not there. I call for his deputy, he's not there. I call for the assistant director. He happens to be there. He goes for that trip. He goes for that workshop. I know what it is. These are the packs that civil servants can go to war over.
So when the Ogas come, they'll be like, say, why should the assistant director go?
When you are the boss,
but they weren't in the office.
You are not on seat. Because of that, after a short period, nobody leaves until I've left. and it began to work. And we were able to achieve actually a few things. Of course, I spent just about a year there, so we couldn't follow up, and there was some, I don't know, revisionist policies that came in, or lack of policy. So you just need to be able to relate with people, have some ideas. You need to be able to push some ideas. Other than that, you'll be doing the same thing the same way.
Okay, looking at the current crop of ministerial nominees that we have right now, do you have confidence in those set of people? Let's forget the hula baloo around what is being touted. Oh, they are older. Oh, not young people. Oh, the women. But looking at it objectively right now, do you have confidence? And I want you to look at it very objectively, you know, without, you know.
Look, we're all in the business of making Nigeria work. If the country works, if the government succeeds, all of us enjoy. We are all, so that's why when you even criticize, you have to be very careful to make contribution, constructive contribution, so that whatever you think is a challenge the government is facing, make suggestions as to how they could get out of it. But looking at the team, I mean, I'm absolutely certain that Fashola can work anywhere you put him. He has experience. Aside from the fact that he's an old lawyer, he's a senior advocate of Nigeria, he has been governor before even he became governor. He did 8 years. I mean, dealing in the civil service in Lagos, like dealing in civil service at federal level is huge. They're doing big things, so I think he can do well. So a few other people can do well who have some experience. You see, the issue is
Are there people that stand out for you on that list? You just said the Fashola.
I mentioned it because, well, is my friend. I'm familiar with him.
Colleague?
Yeah. That have a few other people. There are a few other people there. You see, it's not, first of all, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. And I don't think that, even though I don't think that the president should have expected that he will not catch some flack. Every president catches flack with the list he presents to the public. But don't also close your ears, because among all that criticism, you will see some sense. So take it. Okay? So it's very important. Whichever ministers that he thinks that there's a lot of, he may need to rejig his thinking, then he could know how to adjust it. For me, I think that the plan is more important than the people.
Okay.
You know, because it's first in time. Without a solid plan, honestly, you can bring in.
Why are you worried about the plan? Just like other Nigerians are worried that there is really no plan in place right now, apart from the APC manifesto, which we have. Do you understand? So that is actually disturbing you also, that we don't have a plan, especially an economic plan, right? Economic strategy. For me, I'm really also disturbed.
This is a presidential system of governance. It's different from parliamentary, where the party manifesto becomes a policy of state. The president.
But the president should also make policies and programs that will be in tandem with his APC manifesto to achieve it, so that they can also get re-elected in 2019.
Absolutely, will be taken on board. You know, the average man on the street does not care, really, honestly, about PDP manifesto or APC manifesto.
What he cares is how much is entering his pocket.
He just wants to know that the government
There's food on my table.
The government cares for his welfare and is doing things for his welfare. And I'm sure there is no manifesto of any party that does not put as number one the welfare of the people. So, but putting a plan. You see, as I said, we need to improve on the way we do things. Okay? PDP came and did what they could do, and they've gone. APC is there now. Improve on it. Because if you do it the same way PDP did it, you may get the same result. And that's the point. It's so simple from my own point of view. And honestly, the president can do it. All he needs to do is just to take a little step back, which he should have done maybe in the past 4 months, honestly. And I don't know, I hope he has not lost that chance. But it's not possible. Even within a month, you can have a semblance of something on the ground, a template, which you can get people to help you to work on. You have people there. The vice president can do a lot of work for him in that area. First of all, the vice president is constitutionally the chairman of National Economic Council. Constitutionally is the chairman of National Planning Commission. These are the two engines of development, of plans, developments, and growth. Unfortunately, and that's the irony of it, in the past, we've more or less downgraded these commissions, and even the Minister of Planning, the Ministry of National Planning is not taken as a
but that's a very strategic
It is the
ministry.
one of the most strategic.
National
In
planning,
fact, they do everything.
Yeah, the engine room that will drive the other things that every
They
other
do
person
monitoring and evaluation, which is the work of the president. Put in the plan, put in the ministers. Okay, let me ask you a question. Why do you think ministers don't resign in Nigeria? Honestly.
Why do I think ministers
people
don't
resign? Ministers or even people in positions don't resign. Government. Whatever happens, they will remain there until they are sacked or until they are tired. Why don't they resign? Because there's no target given to them. There's no means of evaluating their performance.
How should there be a means? Because the past administration did a performance. I think President Jonathan said that his ministers will be evaluated, and we didn't hear anything out of it. It was not.
Exactly.
So is it just with mouth? Is it just with how?
Exactly.
What tangible should we?
The structure need to be put in place. The president will put it in place because he's the final authority. President Jonathan wanted to do it, but the system did not allow him to do it.
He actually came forth to say he was going to do it, but we didn't see anything out of it.
Exactly, because the whole idea was hijacked and became whatever it became. But he had an intention of doing to monitor. Because let me tell you, just before, in 2011, just before I left cabinet, the ministers had several sessions with him about how we can make the new government work. That, for instance, we talked about the issue of scrapping the idea of awarding contracts to Federal Executive Council. We talked about the issue of changing the timing. I mean, the frequency of the Federal Executive Council meetings.
Every week, Wednesday.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And he took it on. We talked about monitoring and evaluation. They need to strengthen the National Planning Office, even within the office of the president, whereby he can be able to have access to whether this is what your minister is supposed to be doing at this time. Milestones, timelines, and the funding. The business of funding is the president's own. Let him get the money, but we'll give you milestones and give you timelines. Then there'll be a template for assessment. So every quarter, the template is distributed. Every minister assesses himself. No, peer review. That's what I mean. So you assess, and you say anybody who scores below 35% is not fit to be this. Anybody who scores below 40% is this. You understand? So by the time you are assessed by your peer as you are 30%, you will pack your load in shame and leave the cabinet. You will sack yourself. So these are because these are things we have seen. Do you understand? These are things we have seen. And the project, Nigeria, is too big, it's too important. Look, we are already getting out of the way. Our children are right on our heels. And we need to help them to see those templates and understand that anytime you take an appointment, if you can't cope with it, get out before you are disgraced. Some of the people on this cabinet may not be able to cope with the rigors of ministerial assignments if they are given milestones and timelines. But if there's none, there will just be business as usual. Simple.
How should that be given, since the former administration tried to put that in place and it was frustrated? So how can is it something that should be institutionalized?
Learn. And secondly, we have a new party in power. A new president on the block. Right now, he's enjoying a lot of goodwill, so he can say, look,
capital,
this is, yes, a lot of goodwill, a lot of capital. This is what I want. And that template should be there, because you need to, immediately the ministers are sworn in, put in the cabinet, as you are shaking his hand, he's giving you your mandate.
Your target.
This is the target. This is the minimum. I want something higher than this. If you score the minimum, you are going to get 40%.
Just like in the banking industry, for those that are bankers, you say, get 1 billion in 1 month. How you go about it, they don't know about the end.
But I never agree with
that.
No.
So I'm just saying, I just brought that on a lighter note.
The principle is that, and as I said, we want the country to succeed. Some people tried their own up to a point. We need to do better than that. So that another person that comes in later, after, will also do better than that. That is how countries improve.
How are you worried? I know you said that you've not seen any economic plan or no plan in place right now. Are you worried about the state of the economy? Because I know you're a businessman too. Law itself is a business, Some of you lawyers are very rich, So law is a business.
I've been practicing law for 33 years.
But you understand what I mean,
Absolutely.
that it's a business. So are you actually disturbed and worried about the state right now of things in the economy?
Yes, I am worried. But we'll take it in context. There is general recession all over the world. The economy of the globe is in serious problem. Look at what is happening in China. They took a hit. Maybe right now, the RMB to dollar has gone down about 25 to 30%, something like that. The economy, the Chinese economy is slowing down more than 6% this year.
Yeah.
Africa's main financier, the main FDI coming from anywhere today, serious one, is coming from China. There are, in the past 2000, 2005, the past 5 years, the trade between Africa and China has grown more than 20 billion to about $200 billion. That are the places where our people go to buy things, to do things, to buy equipment, to buy agricultural machines and stuff. So they are going down. You look at Europe, the economy of Europe, many countries are there hanging. We are better than them. I mean, Spain, even Italy,
Spain is just trying to recover.
Greece, they are almost bankrupt. So there's serious challenge all over the world. So we are not isolated. We are part of the global world economy. So we are affected. The key thing is that how do we now react and do our own homegrown reaction to the challenge? I don't want to talk about oil. Everybody knows about that. We've taken a serious hit. We are in negative territory now in terms of what we expected from oil the past revenue, 1.5 years. Yeah. And that is a serious challenge for us. We've opened our mouths wide. We plan big things to be funded by oil money. It's not coming in. So now, I'm sure the president never expected this. And even if it was President Goodluck Jonathan that is in power, he will feel the same pinch. So we still must plan. You know, it's so important. And it is also no magic. What do people do? People want, first of all, we need to create jobs. The president wants to create jobs. Everybody wants to create jobs. How do we do it? It's by production. What is the easiest thing for us to produce? We take agriculture. Just go into agri fully, totally. And agro-processing.
But not neglecting other sectors, though. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Know, yeah. Then, so that, you see, by the time you produce, of course, you have to work on your infrastructure, you understand. But I'm talking about getting people back to work, getting things moving in the country, and so on and so forth. Okay? And you can spend a lot of energy actually on one sector if it's a quick win for you. Okay? So, and that is the whole idea that we're talking about. We'll get food into people's stomach first. Then a lot of agro products are important to this country for some level of manufacturing and other things. We also take care of that. We reduce our demand of foreign exchange. You can see what CBN is trying to do. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the governor of Central Bank today is doing a yeoman's job. He's wearing two hats. He's handling the financial policies. He's also more or less handling the fiscal policies. You understand? Which is not really supposed to be his business. But he had to do it. He's doing a lot of work and trying to, like, controlling how certain things will happen, putting certain things on hold, you understand, so that he can manage the little monies that he has.
Okay. All right, let's quickly take a break. And when we come back from the break, I'll be asking you what you think as the ministerial nominees go to the Senate to be screened. What kind of questions? Is it the normal bar and go? Let's quickly take a moment. We'll be right back. By about 105 billion naira. And there's some other things that we can do to help small businesses in Nigeria.
There is. Like, one of the things we found out was that most of our businessmen do not have the capacity to do a business plan. We have very good policies, but be consistent with those policies.
Whether it's a solo business or it's a big brand, it's the same thing. You might not necessarily have to attend a business school, but you need knowledge to run a business.
The federal government cannot do it alone, and then the state government cannot do it alone, so there has to be a synergy. And the synergy must be a very productive one.
Tokunbo Kayode, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, former Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 4 portfolios, culture and tourism, defense, justice. What was the last one? Labor and productivity. All right, just before I allow you to answer the question I asked earlier, let's take a few comments coming in on Twitter. Deji Philip is saying, no government runs without programs and plans. This government is stabilizing your economy after JJ's bleeding. That's Jonathan's. What else do you call a plan? While Augustine Wada is saying, while the late Saraki groomed the youth to succeed him, the Ogbe's would rather take the slot meant for youth. What an irony. Walex is saying, I agree with the former minister, he's talking sense. Promise is saying, from secondary school and not recycling the same people and getting the same result. While Lushagu Dada, okay, it appears that AIT is becoming obsessed with the ministerial list. Come off it, Lushagun. That's the topic everywhere around the country right now. Let's take this. Ejiga Friday saying, I was a bit disappointed when the list was unveiled, but I expect the Senate to do their job. Ayuba is saying it is time for our senators to stop using the Senate as a stage for settling personal scores. Sam is saying performance is all we need now at the moment, old or young. Akinemo is saying, I feel the youths have not been taken into account in the preparation of the ministerial list. Youths tend to be productive. Alfin is saying, if that's President Buhari wants to change Nigeria, he should ignore the already corrupt guys and bring in new guys. Laz is saying, those advocating for youth inclusion in President Buhari's cabinet should please offer suggestions of likely names of youth fit for office. A lot and lot and lot. Okay, Majestic President is saying on Twitter, I am in conformity with your guest, with what your guest is saying. Is very right and very intellectual. He's a lawyer, a senior advocate at that. Okay, Reverend Philip is saying, approve people they don't know but shouldn't add extra constitutional condition. A lot of comments coming in. Aini is saying, does Nigeria have any economic principles? Wise Baba is saying, still don't understand why Professor Pat Utomi's name is missing. Who is going to be finance minister? That's $1 million question. There are a lot of comments coming in, but those are just the few I can take. So, what do you think? We just have about 3 minutes or so.
About the...
What do you think about the Senate? Yes, because all eyes will be on them. Someone actually said on Twitter now that they shouldn't use, the senators shouldn't use that as a personal vendetta or to settle personal scores.
One thing I'm sure of is that every person on that ministerial list, every ministerial appointee would like to take a bow.
That's if you leave them, they would like to take a bow.
They would love to take a bow. I would have loved to take a bow myself, but I think it would be a great disservice to them, because some of them actually will have good ideas to present, ideas to sell to Nigeria. And don't forget, that stage, the Senate on that day when you appear there, it may be the maybe the biggest stage one was ever, in his life before then. For me, the biggest stage I've ever been was when I appeared before the Senate, and I spent about maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour there. People were watching me all over the world.
Isn't it more difficult even for the ministerial nominees since they don't have portfolios attached to them? I'm wondering what will be going through their minds right now. I'm wondering how Ifashola is preparing for the screening. I'm wondering how Ikemi Adeosu is preparing, because I really don't even know what they will ask me. I don't know what ministry I would go into. So, you know, I must have prepared for aviation. They're asking me questions on culture. So I'm actually in the minds of those nominees. What will they be preparing for?
For me,
or they're
on their own on that. But I expect that those who have an across-the-board knowledge should not bother. It's not even a matter of preparing for it. Because any person could ask you any question. One, the senators do not know which cabinet you may be taken to. Even if you are taken to cabinet A today, the president by December may say, okay, wait a minute, I would rather have you in cabinet B. So you should just be able to have a world knowledge about things, and also be able to have a couple of some little original thinking.
And lastly, what do we expect from the Senate themselves? Because the Senate has also been bashed in the past that the quality of questions, you know, I've actually even said it on this platform before, that we need intelligent questioning and, you know, knowledge even from them.
No doubt about that, but one thing you must understand is that the traditions, the hallowed traditions of Senate is that if you're a former senator, and I think about 3 of them there, and you're a former member of the House, the traditions demand that you take a bow. That will happen. I don't expect Aisha to be questioned or Sirika to be questioned. These are senators who distinguish themselves working there, but they have their own pedigree. They'll present their case, let the world know them, but they'll have to take a bow. But all the other people should just be prepared. They'll be ready to think deep, to also be original. They should be able to also be honest. Tell us what do you think is wrong with our system, what do you think we should be doing?
Okay.
How do we make this country better? Look, if the country is better, we all enjoy.
Thank you very much for coming on today's edition of the show, and it's been nice having you, at least looking at this ministerial list from the eye of a former minister. You know, for many Nigerians that have not been ministers, they come out and comment and all of that, but you've just told us the hard truth, or the ugly one, so to speak. So many thanks for coming.
Thank you very
much. I've been speaking with Tokunbo Kayode, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, a former minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Tourism, Defense, Justice, Culture, Culture, Tourism, Labor and Productivity. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you all for being a part of the show. But please keep at it again tomorrow, same time. We will be here. Be the best you can be and be the change you want to see. I am Nancy Ilo. God bless Nigeria. Bye now.